Hello champions, welcome to the session. A very warm welcome actually because today is a kind of a rainy day and everyone might be in you all are maybe in your cozy bedrooms and you are in your cozy position. But still I insist that this kind of sessions in the morning will definitely help you in the sense because it is the morning time when you are fresh in your ideas, fresh in your emotions, and fresh in your performance. So, morning is a time where you can start with. If you have not started yet, start working in the morning. Be an early bird, and that will help you not only for this CUET undergraduate exam, but it will help you in the long run. It will help you for your entire life. So, with some doses of advice, we can start with this session. Today's session, আজিৰ sessionত আমি কি কৰি আছো figures of speechৰ কিছুমান MCQs sorry MCQs লৈছো. I have already said it before in my earlier session on English that we will be doing a session on MCQs based on figures of speech because only discussing the concepts and trying to clarify the figures of speech will not help until and unless we practically identify or practically try to identify the figures of speech in an actual position in their usage. That means in our own sentences, in our conversations, or in our day-to-day activities where we actually put a lot of figures of speech, phrases and idioms and a lot of things which can actually improve or add to our vocabulary, but we are not known to them. তো যেতিয়ালৈ আমি বুজি নাপাওঁ, যেতিয়ালৈ আমি চিনিব নোৱাৰোঁ কোনটো ফিগাৰ অফ স্পীচ, কোনটো ফিগাৰ্ছ এণ্ড ইডিয়মছ, তেনেহ'লে তেনেকৈ আমাৰ ভোকেবুলাৰীটো ইম্প্ৰুভ নহয়. But try to identify and you will enjoy. From now onwards, you will enjoy because you are known to figures of speech, you are known to figures and idioms, you are known to synonyms and antonyms, you are known to the to one-word substitutions. So this is actually helping your vocabulary and actually helping your personality from a different sense because when you are having a rich vocabulary, a rich word stock, you are actually improving your caliber to speak English and to use English in a way to express yourself. So let's start the session. MCQs are on figures of speech. The first question is, oh that, where is thy sting? Now when there is a reference, how do we identify when there is a direct or indirect reference to someone where you are actually trying to question rhetorically, where you know the answer or you may be giving the answer yourself. So that kind of an indirect reference to a thing or to a living thing or a non-living thing, and when majority of the sentences have an exclamation mark, what do we identify? How do we identify it in the form of figure of speech? I have already asked before that I want champions like you to join my sessions because sessions where I am actually trying to discuss all these things, I need you champions not only to be passive, not only to be the passive audience of my session. I want you to be active by giving me inputs, by giving me comments. Through the comment section, try to interact with me and give me more examples, whatever the session is. Add to the session, add to the point whatever is being discussed in the session. So, what can be the figure of speech when we are referring something directly or indirectly? We term it as. The other three we will discuss or we have already discussed, but to make it very concise and precise for the session, the apostrophe is the figure of speech where we are actually directly or indirectly referring to something or to some idea. So here, because that is being asked or is being addressed as something, and where the person is asking that where is thy sting, where is your sting? Sting means the pinch or or we can say the effect what you can do upon people. Okay, hope you all understand what is apostrophe and how we are trying to identify the figure of speech in this sentence. Let's move on to the next question. Number 2, necessity is the mother of invention. Now this is actually a proverb, a idiom, which we generally use in our conversations, or we can also say that it is a kind of a cliche. Cliche means where the importance of the sentence or the meaning of the sentence is actually can't be applied in the contemporary society, or the sentence, the meaning of the sentence or its validity has become outdated to some extent. So though necessity, but still we know that necessity is the mother of invention, and from this what we try to identify it with with the figure of speeches. Here it is said that whenever you are in the absence, or when you are in the need of something, only then you try to invent something. So that is being emphasized in this proverb. Now how do we identify the figure of speech here? It is difficult here, because though we are using this kind of sentences on a majority, usually we are using it, but we don't know which is the figure of speech used here. So let us do it. How can we do? Because mother is something related to human attributes or to human nature. So motherly nature or mother is being compared with necessity. So necessity is the mother of invention, and here because mother is something related to humans, we will identify it as personification. Okay. Simile metaphor will not come into it, because here nothing is being compared. Here the comparison is on a higher level, because if the comparison would have been with some kind of actions, or with some kind of attributes, or with some kind of a reference, that would have been metaphor. Or when we are trying to add like and as, then it would have been simile. But because here mother is something which is related with person or human attributes, we will identify it as personification. Now it is confusing with metaphor, because most of the students may opt for metaphor. But metaphor is a comparison where to some extent we can identify it metaphor. But when it comes to the concept of mother, it is here the attributes of a mother, the qualities that usually a mother has. So we will try to give it a upper hand, or we will try to give it the exact definition or exact figure of speech, and that is the personification here. Hope you all understand till here. Let's move on to the next question. Next, question number 3. The lapping sound of the shore. Now, what do you understand from lapping sound of the shore? When there is the reference to sounds, and when the hearing ability, what is audible or something which is related to hearing abilities, we term it as onomatopoeia. So lapping sound is nothing else but onomatopoeia, because onomatopoeia is the figure of speech which is related with sounds. Okay. Hope this is clear, because we have already had elaborate discussion on onomatopoeia. Next, number 4. Birds chirping, hens cackling, bees buzzing, squeaky wheels make us feel rustic. So this is a sentence, it is a kind of a comment here. But the comment is actually trying to focus on some kind of sounds again. And when it is sounds where birds are chirping, hens are cackling, bees are buzzing, wheels are squeaking, and it is making us to feel rustic or where we are in a village or countryside. And because here the reference, the sounds are referenced, the sound is being focused here, we will term it as again onomatopoeia. Okay, till here yale clear ase tumalkor onomatopoeia concept tu moi agote bahut bar koisu jibur niki tumar soundor logot related thake soundor bikhoy kiba reference thake tate ami identify korim it as onomatopoeia hobo. Next question number 5, she is not the only successor of the little property. Now one more thing which I want to add here is when the thing not is included here and the successor, that means a person who is going to inherit some kind of property, here it is being referred here as the successor, the inheritor. And of the little property. The little means whenever we get the term little, that means it is very scarce or it is very small in amount, but though it is definite. So definitely it is a little amount of property. But here when the thing is from the negative point, when the focus or the meaning of the sentence is being expressed or is being tried to be expressed from a negative perspective, from not or from do not or from a negative point of view, we term it as the lailote. So lailote is the figure of speech where something is being emphasized but from a negative point of view, from a negative perspective, that is when it is not affirmative, when the sentence is not affirmative and when the sentence is being started with some kind of a negative perception, we term it as lailote. Okay? Hope this is clear, lailote. Next we have question number 6. Variety is the spice of life. Now this is a wonderful example. This is a wonderful proverb. It is a proverb which is being usually used by us because hoday eketa monotony life ot bhal nalage. Olop changes ba olop mosola thakile bhal lage. So spice is something which is related here mosolar logot. The spice means mosola aru mosola amar life ot lage karon we need to enjoy our life. We need to break from the clutches of monotony in our life. So we say that olop change hole bhal lagisile ba olop variety hole bhal lagisile ba sadharonte ami dukan ekhonole gole kiba ta bostu kinibole golu sadharon ami 10 rupees or pen eta 10 tokia pen eta kinibole goleu ami dukani khudim beleg aru option ase niki eta pen baru dekhuai dile jikuno eta brandor ma brand name kobole bisara nai yete moi reference koribo bisarisu de amar human nature to kenekwa dukanat ami 10 tokia bostu eta kiniboloi goleu variety bisaru je 2-3 টা পেন দোকানিয়ে দেখুৱালে তাৰ পিছত যিকোনো এটা যেটো পছন্দ হ'ব হেতুহে লম তো আমি যেতিয়া variety bisaru, that means we want variety in our life. We want something uniqueness or some kind of an uncommon which is not in the mainstream, in some kind of choices, basically in our choices. So variety is the spice of life is actually can be termed as a figure of speech. And which figure of speech? Just try to assume which figure of speech can be applied here. Variety is the spice of life. Now here I will go with all the options. Personification is not applicable here because life is there, but here life is not being termed with some kind of attributes. Life or quality ba features or bishoy emphasis kora nai. So a personification is negatified. Metonymy. Metonymy মানে হৈছে substitution. এটাৰ জাগাৰ হলনি বেলেগ এটা যদি আমি বহুৱাই দিওঁ তেতিয়া হলে হ'ব metonymy. Next হৈছে metaphor. Now metaphor here can be applied to some extent. We are getting our answer here in metaphor because metaphor here is a comparison. Comparison with spice and with life. When life is being compared with spice and spice is compared with variety. Variety aru spice or logot comparison kora hoise. Aru hetu karne ami comparison to because the comparison is indirect without the use of like as, so we will term it as metaphor. Okay, metaphor is the exact answer because here variety is being compared with spice. Yes, hope this is clear and it will be in your you can recall this at any moment of your exam, not only your exam but in any moment of your life. You will just remember and recall that this and this ma'am in her session has spoken about or explained about this proverb. Okay? তেনেকুৱা ধৰণে যদি তোমালোকে কিছুমান সেশনস হওক বা ক্লাস হওক বা যিকোনো এক্টিভিটি লাইফৰ যিকোনো ঘটনা এটা কোনোবা স্পেসিফিক সিম্বলেৰে মনত ৰাখিবলৈ বিচাৰা তেতিয়া তোমাৰ হেবুৰ বস্তু বেছিকে মনত থাকে বা হয়তো লাইফ লং মনত ৰয়ে যায় তোমাৰ মেমৰিত it becomes some kind of a stagnant memory মানে তোমাৰ মেমৰি পৰা আতৰাব নোৱাৰা কিছুমান বস্তু হৈ যায় once when you try to symbolize some kind of actions হয়তো আজিৰ ক্লাসটো কিয় মনত থাকিব মই variety is the spice of life বুলি কলো তে তেনেকে তুমি মনত ৰাখিব পাৰিবা যে অমুক ক্লাসটোত অমুক মেমে এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ এটা এক্সপ্লেনেশন দিছিলে so try to relate or try to give some kind of symbols to activities and that will help you to remember or recall at any point of your lifetime entire lifetime. Next is again this is also a idiom. Here we are getting a lot, today's session we are getting a lot of figures of speech which is based on idioms. Next is the pen is mightier than the sword. আজিকালি তো পেন নহয় আজিকালি তোমাৰ PowerPoint, MS Word, Excel এবোৰে হৈছে. So though this is again we can identify it as cliche, but here we will try to identify as something else. So quotation to agote dilo. So the pen is mightier than the sword. So is it a paradox? Is it metonymy? Is it metaphor or both B and C? Now swa pen is mightier than the sword বুলি কৈছে ইয়াতে pen আৰু sword পেনৰ লগত আমাৰ কি কি ৰিলেট আছে any kind of literary output আৰু sword মানে কি বুজাইছে any kind of war or competition or any kind of duel, any kind of conflicts. You can say a better word will be conflict. So ebur enekwa dhoroner jetia ebu nilikhi pine ami eta substitute likhisu sword aru gute literary compositions bur nilikhi poem, story, short story hebu nilikhi pine okol pen word to ami use korisu in place of that we are placing pen and in place of this we are placing sword. Now when we are placing something in place of someone, when we are substituting a concept with some kind of definite words, we term it as metonymy and nothing else. So the correct answer will be metonymy. So you can understand what is metonymy here. Metonymy is substitution, any kind of substitution. Ba alternate. যিকোনো অল্টারনেটিভ এটা যদি আমি বহুৱাও with the help of শব্দৰ মাধ্যমেৰে হেতুক আমি বুজাম metonymy বুলি. Okay, hope this is clear. Next, Question number 8. She is not the okay, we have done this. So it is a repetition. Sorry for that. Question number 9. The maid has 3 hungry mouths to feed. Again, there is a substitution here. Try to identify the substitution. Let's find the substitution. The maid has 3 hungry mouths to feed. So here there is a substitution of 3 hungry mouths. Mane tinijon manu ase. 3 people are there. So she has to work to feed 3 people. These are caricatures actually. Don't go with my animation, with my the potential to which I can draw something. So let's clean this. 3 hungry mouths is referring to actually 3 people. 3 people who are being fed by the maid. So the maid has to earn an income where she will be feeding or where she has to feed 3 people. 3 people or jagat ami manu ba man ba people ba person nobohuai ami bohaisu hungry mouth, 3 hungry mouth. So this is nothing other but it is substitution and we will opt for metonymy. Okay, hope this is clear. Next, question number 10. We are coming to the end of our session, but I think I want this kind of sessions more and more. I want a lengthy session, but because students will not be here to listen to me for 1 or 2 hours at a continuous level, so we are actually dividing our sessions into 20 to 30 minutes class. So these classes are actually, we people here are trying to give more and more sessions, but we are not getting the slot to enter into your, we are not getting the slot to interact with you. So try to interact with us through comment section so that we can make this kind of sessions more lively once we can get the feedback from your side. Okay. The 10th one is never trouble till trouble troubles you. Now here something where trouble to bare ahi ase, iman ke besi ke ahi ase, trouble shobdo to. When you see this kind of a repetition, how do you identify it actually? Trouble bare jeti ahi ase eta shobdoe, try to identify which word or which syllable or which sound is actually being repeatedly asked here. So never trouble, dubar ahile, ako till. So we are getting the sound T, the consonant sound T. So the sound T first try to identify the sound. So when it is the T, so T is what? Is it a vowel or a consonant? So we know that T is a consonant sound, and when it is a repetition of consonant sounds in a sentence, how do we identify it? Is it alliteration or assonance? So alliteration is what? Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound and assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. So here students don't get confused with this concept of alliteration and assonance. Be very clear with the concepts. So here the answer is alliteration. Never trouble till trouble troubles you. With this we wind up the session and hope you will not trouble anyone until trouble troubles you. Okay? So I hope the session was an interesting session and I hope you people have got a lot of information from this session which will help you in your CUET undergraduate exam. So keep preparing. Until then, goodbye.